Everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at Lolita Lempicka. This is marketed towards women. This is the EDP version in the pretty little bottle. This one is one of the most unique designer fragrances I've ever smelled, and really affordable. Looking it up online, it costs around £30 for a 50ml, which equates to kind of about $40 in the US. Really very cheap and easily the best designer in that price range I've ever smelled, and it would easily compete with prices like double that, so to speak. Really good value for money in my opinion in terms of the actual scent that you get. So really affordable and smells really good. The opening, however, I'm not keen on, I'll be honest. The opening top notes, which are fairly brief, I actually don't like. I'm hit with this synthetic violet note, first of all, that's overly synthetic, but big violet notes, and this mix of kind of weird sweetness and spice. There's star anise in here, and I've got star anise essential oil, and it kind of has a licorice basically note. Licorice is noted on the note list, and that's kind of what you smell, but it's mixed with this kind of weird sweetness overlapping it. The scent itself is really quite unique. I've never smelled anything like this particular one. It's very intriguing, quite different. It just strikes you as being, oh wow, this is a bit weird, in fact, even in the opening. But the top notes that I don't like go away very quickly. Within 5 minutes, the thing that I don't like is gone, and it becomes really good. So you get this kind of mix of still the violet note, but the harsh kind of obvious blast of synthetic violet in the opening tones down, and it's now melded with this kind of warm, unusual sweetness. And at that point, you know, after 5 minutes, it smells really good, really interesting, and I found myself going back to my hand and smelling it over and over again for quite a few hours. So really interesting accord, and you get this basically combination of, again, violet, but mixed with this unusual sweetness. There's vanilla, there's tonka, there's cherry listed, and I don't directly smell cherry, but I would say maybe a slight, almost fruity, dark quality to it. It's not just star anise. You do get kind of a licorice kind of like vibe, but dolloped over with this kind of sweetness, which just makes the composition just slightly different and unusual, is the best way I can describe it. It's very unique, and like I say, it's almost tasty. It's got kind of a tasty quality to it. There's no huge twists or changes with this fragrance, apart from that kind of overdose of violet toning down as a top note. Then you get the heart of the fragrance, which lasts many hours. The very end of the dry down, which is on my hand at the moment, you're left with a little bit of a clean musk on my skin. I definitely get a musk molecule that reminds me of kind of fresh kind of linen sheets. That hangs on right at the end of the fragrance with just a hint of sweetness behind it. This one didn't even strike me as overly feminine. I think it's kind of unisex, to be honest. I don't think too many guys would come up to you and say, "Are you wearing women's perfume?" Like, I don't think it would have that reaction. It doesn't smell overtly feminine. It just smells really good, like regardless of who you are. So I really like this one. I think it's really well blended and interesting, and just comes across really nice. For the price range it's in, it's absolutely excellent. In terms of performance, pretty good. I would say 7 to 8 hours on my skin. The projection is pretty good, the sillage projection in the first hour or so before it kind of hugs the skin more. And then after around 4 hours, it's pretty much a skin scent on me, very close to the skin. But performance is pretty good, and I would say this is more of a casual fragrance for an evening in the cooler weather. Personal opinion, wherever you like. That's kind of what it strikes me, a little bit more casual, like going to the bar with friends or the cinema. But also, there's something about it that's kind of a little bit sexy if it's on a woman. As a man, I'm imagining smelling it on a woman. I think it does have the sweetness behind it is attractive enough that you want to smell more of it. You want to lean in and smell more of it. So kind of sexy, so I think also pretty good for a date fragrance. So casual and also kind of date night. There's a point in the early midsection that has this cotton wool kind of feeling to it. I've heard other people describe it as powdery or dusty. I didn't get that on my skin. What I got was cotton wool. It feels soft and fluffy. It reminds me a little bit of a molecule called benzyl salicylate, which has this kind of warm cotton wool feeling. I kind of get that kind of vibe in the early midsection of the fragrance. And then as it dries down further from there, it kind of almost goes into the creamy territory. And I think that's a combination of the vanilla musk tonka sweetness kind of thing going on. It almost reminds me of the texture of syrup or like honey, something kind of thick and fluid or kind of creamy, I suppose, as well. It's just that kind of texture about it as it dries down. Transitions from feeling like kind of cotton wool and soft and fluffy to feeling syrupy and smooth and fluid. That's about as good as I can describe it. It kind of reminds me of hues of purples and blacks, in imagining it in colour. If I was to do a top designer list for women, I would bang that in for sure. I think for the price it's amazing. £30 is super cheap. The bottle looks cool and it smells really interesting and unique, so really good stuff. I think it smells a lot higher quality than the price would suggest. The perfumer did an excellent job with this one. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you again next time with another one. Take care.